Hey everyone, Rick Oliva here. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to writing melodies and improvising over secondary dominant chords. And we'll talk a little bit about why I think people make this way more difficult than it really needs to be. So first of all, what are secondary dominant chords? Well, if we take the key of C, just because it's easy, there's no sharps or flats, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and we look at the diatonic dominant seventh chord in that key, it's G7, G, B, D, F. Now, no other dominant seventh chord that we can make will have no sharps or flats. They'll all have at least one sharp or flat in it. And so that makes G the primary dominant seventh chord in the key of C. The secondary dominant seventh chords have diatonic roots to the key of C. So it starts with either C, D, E, F, A, B, or C. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or D. But G is already the primary dominant seventh chord. And it resolves to a diatonic chord in the key of C. So if we take a look at the key of C, once again, we take a C dominant seventh chord. C7 resolves down a fifth to F. C is a diatonic root. F is a chord in the key of C. D dominant seventh resolves down a fifth to G. So that's also a dominant, secondary dominant chord. E7, if we just keep going, E7 resolves down a fifth to A minor. So E7 is a secondary dominant. If we look at F, the diatonic root of F, well, F resolves down a fifth to B flat. Well, B flat is not diatonic to the key of C, and so therefore F7 is not considered a secondary dominant seventh chord in the key of C. And we can keep going. G is the primary. A7 resolves to D, and then B7 resolves to E. So, or E minor, I guess, in the key of C. So A7 goes to D minor, B7 goes to E minor. So those are the secondary dominant chords in the key of C. When we're writing melodies, and let's take a side note for just a second, you can play any note over the top of any chord anytime that you want to. So really what we're talking about is consonance versus dissonant. What is going to be the most consonant sound, or the most likely choice of note that we'll choose when we're playing over these chords, versus what is less likely, or what is going to be more dissonant. You know, there's no law of physics that says that you can't play a D flat over a C chord. So when we look at these secondary dominant chords, they take diatonic tensions. Put another way, you'd play all the same notes of the key that you're in, except for those chord tones in the chord that were non-diatonic to the key. So, for example, an A7 chord. A7 resolves down a fifth to D. In the key of C, it would go to D minor, but we'd go A down 7 to D minor. An A7 chord has a C sharp in it. The chord tones are A, C sharp, E, and G. When you're writing a melody over the top of that, if you use diatonic tensions, that would mean you would play A, B, C sharp, D, E, F, G, A. You just play all natural notes except for the C sharp. The reason why you play C sharp is because it's in the chord itself. So it would be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F, G, A. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F, G, A. And you just keep on going on and on like that. If we take a look at an E7 chord in the key of C, E7 is going to resolve to an A minor chord. If we're taking diatonic tensions, an E dominant seventh chord, the notes are E, G sharp, B, and D. The only note that's not diatonic to the key is the G sharp. And so you'd play E, F, G sharp, A, B, C, D, E. Another way to look at this, and here's where I think people make this way more complicated than it really needs to be, is if we take that A, if we go back to the A7 and we say, okay, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F, G, A, and we turn it into its own scale, we say, oh, well, it's actually the fifth mode of D melodic minor. Because D melodic minor is D, E, F, G, A, B, C sharp, D, right? The problem with that is, okay, I'm in the key of C, I'm playing an A7 chord, and now I'm going to try to think of what the notes are in a D melodic minor and then play the fifth mode of that, when really all I'm doing is playing all the notes in the key of C except for C sharp. Same thing with if we take this E7 chord and we say, oh, well, E7 to an A minor, with that G sharp in there, what we're really doing is we're really playing the fifth mode of A harmonic minor, because A harmonic minor would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, A, right? So since we're playing E, F, G sharp, A, B, C, D, E, if we take a look, if we think of that E dominant seventh chord as its own chord scale, we'd say, oh, it's the fifth mode of A harmonic minor. Once again, now I'm in the key of C, I'm playing an E7 chord, and I'm going to think in terms of playing a mode or a scale fingering based off of A harmonic minor. It doesn't make any sense when all that we're really doing is just playing all natural notes except for G sharp. If we take, and a little bit simpler one would be the D7. If we go D7 to G, well, D7 just has an F sharp in it, so we'd say, oh, well, you're playing D mixolydian. So if I had a chord progression that went C to E7 to A7 to D7, where the complicated way is to say, oh, you're in C major, then you play the fifth mode of A harmonic minor to the fifth mode of D melodic minor to a D mixolydian back to C. Or you can say, I'm in the key of C, on the E chord play G sharp, on the A chord play C sharp, and on the D chord play F sharp. To me, that's way, like 1,000 times easier, maybe 1,000,000 times easier, because I'll tell you what, I studied these chord scales for years and years and years, and I couldn't think fast enough to say, oh, play the fifth mode of A harmonic minor over an E7 chord over a 5 of 6 in the key of C, right? Like, that's just not going to happen, all right? But I can say, oh, play G sharp instead of G. You know, that's pretty straightforward. So, coming up with these melodies, what it would sound like is, so if I'm in the key of C, and we'll just go through it. If I just did a simple chord progression, it said like C to an A7 to D minor, G7, back to C. Just real simple. No sharps or flats on the C chord. Then on the A7 chord, I'm hitting that C sharp to the D minor and back to no sharps or flats to the G7, no sharps or flats, back to a C. If I'm doing an E7 chord, maybe to the A7 chord, to the D minor chord, to a G7, to the C. Now, say I want to go C to an E7 to an A7 to a D7 to the G7 back to the C. Just very simply, if we're sticking around this area here, just the top two strings, I might play, I don't know, C chord, to the something like that. And you might say, oh, well, you know, when I get to this E chord, maybe you don't like that sound. Well, then play something different. You don't have to do this. You don't have to follow this sort of path of least resistance, just saying, oh, just play those. Or if it's that skip that you don't like, then don't play that skip. Maybe you're going from the C chord and you go, and so you aren't playing that G sharp. You don't have to accentuate the G sharp to note that's different. It's already being played in the harmony down below. So you wouldn't have to play it in the melody just because it's in the harmony. Now when you get to the C sharp and A chord, so you see what I did there is I went from the A7 chord to the D minor, and then when I went to the D major, I just started on the F sharp and did a melody in the key, diatonic to the key of C, back to that G chord, which then resolves to the C chord. And so when I play, once again, when I play the D chord here, I'm not thinking D mixolydian, I'm thinking key of C with an F sharp. When I'm playing this E chord, I'm not thinking fifth mode of A harmonic minor. I'm just playing F, E, D, C, B, C. Maybe ending on the B because it's a little bit more consonant. But that's the idea. So when we're playing these secondary dominants, just to review, the hard way to do it, in my opinion, is to look at the chord, think of it in terms of it as its own scale, or even worse, as a mode of a different scale that you're more familiar with, and try to associate that when you're playing, instead of just thinking of A, how it sounds, and B, if you don't know what it's supposed to sound like, just saying, well, I'm just going to keep playing the notes in the key that I'm in, except I'm going to substitute whatever scale tone for the non-diatonic chord tone that I'm playing in the chord. So hopefully that made sense, and it's not clear as mud, but it's rather clear. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below this video, or you can send me a message. Please visit my website, rickoliva.com, my new music school, threeriversmusicacademy.com, or if you find this helpful and want to donate a little bit to the cause, maybe so I can get a nicer video camera, a little more production, high quality production coming your way, let me know. So, or visit the Patreon page. Don't let me know. Send me money at my Patreon page, or even at via PayPal. You can do a one-time donation on PayPal, rick@rickoliva.com, or patreon.com/rickolivamusic. Thank you, and good night.